And, I can just only imagine, that's all I can do at this point is imagine what could have been, what could have been if we all were allowed to live in peace and get some experience of no wars and this conquering and destroying and fighting and arguing. That's what we do all day long. So even in the midst of all of that, I still paid attention to what was going on inside of me. I had anxiety like everybody else. We all have some type of anxiety. You're stepping out of a comfort of a home into an environment that's unknown to me. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made, even though I was struggling, again, financially, but it was one of the best decisions I made.
Welcome to the Evolution of the Consciousness podcast. Love is spoken here. With your host and guide, Msmichellecarithers.
Morning, everybody. Evolution of the Consciousness, Love is spoken here. I'm msmichellecarithers on this December 7th, 2023, in the place to be, baby. Hope everybody's doing fantastic, magnificently, and marvelous, because I am. I thought I'd come on through on this Thursday, December the 7th. Wow. It does appear sometimes, we say this a lot, that time is speeding by and time is, gone by, and or where has the time gone and blah, blah, blah. All of us talk a lot about time, in our daily lives. We want to know what time it is. We schedule meetings, we schedule appointments, we schedule this and that and the other. And time is so important when we consider those factors, right? Time makes a difference in our lives. And for a lot of people, there's a lot of wasting of time, right? We do a lot of wasting of time. And for the most part, we're doing that by looking outside of ourselves and being and having these kind of parameters about what people are or what they're supposed to do or this or that and the other. And I know for me, I've had a lot of experience with wasting time. I've had a lot of experience, however, in developing myself in the reasonable amount of time. So what does that mean? Well, it was always like I was given the like a nudge or something, or an impulse. That's what I mean. I consider myself fortunate, and what do I mean by that? That I responded to the impulses in my life in the nick of time. I didn't waste too much time on irrelevancy. When I think back on my life, I told you I was the last person to leave my parents' house. Growing up, all my siblings and the rest of them had already moved on to wherever they were headed in their path. And I was kind of just there. I'm going to be really honest with you. I was kind of like there. And I'm already in my 20s now. Keep in mind, because most people were out of their parents' home by 17. My brothers were, because they went into the military. My sister got married, blah blah blah. I was sitting there thinking, what the hell am I going to do with myself? Because I didn't feel as though I was ready. But something nudged me on, and I made my way, out of that environment and into an environment where I cultivated and contemplated, because I had to do these things. I didn't have the military to support me, because that's what my brothers had. They had the military that provided them with all the necessities, and other members got married to military. So the military, as I said before, it's a great discipline career to go into. It's just the structure of it is so degenerate, because it's about war. And, I can just only imagine, that's all I can do at this point is imagine what could have been. what could have been if we all were allowed to live in peace and get some experience of no wars and this conquering and destroying and fighting and arguing. That's what we do all day long. So even in the midst of all of that, I still paid attention to what was going on inside of me. I had anxiety like everybody else. We all have some type of anxiety. You're stepping out of a comfort of a home into an environment that's unknown to me. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made, even though I was struggling, again, financially, but it was one of the best decisions I made. So my point of the matter is you do get the impulse. It's like a strike of energy, a pulse of energy, alerting you, attempting to reach you, and that comes from within your innermost being, the personality that you're developing, you get the answers you need, you get the advice you need. There's just a lot of us, do not trust ourselves, and we get, and that's understandable based on what's going on outside of us. We just don't trust the so-called leaders, the so-called innovators, the ones that are got our that have our lives in their hands, literally. So now, they dropped the artificial intelligence on us earlier this year, even though they have been working on it for, I don't know, maybe over 30 to 40 years. Now they're dropping this quantum computing on us. And so here we go again. Here we go again. Are we going to miss the opportunities of what this particular application or entity? I call them entities, because at some point, quantum computing is going to take on a mind of its own, just like artificial intelligence. So we have to get to a point where we trust ourselves in the midst of all of this and do the things that we need to do. Because again, we are living in the effects and we're living in the consequences, and the damage has been done. I just want to remind you to pay attention to the company you keep and the people that are in your circle. Pay attention to your environment. Pay attention to some of the language and sounds and tones that are coming out of people. Okay, there's going to be a lot of condemnation. There's going to be a lot of judgment. And, the people like waving, and especially from the religious side of it all. Okay, let's be clear and effective. Okay, let's be clear and effective. Because a lot of people see this as an opportunity to be striking at people and telling them, that you ought to, that a lot of people believe this is a belief that we need to get over. A lot of people believe because somebody dies that's a punishment. That's illogical. And if I were you, if you choose to, I would really contemplate and cultivate that. Living and dying they go together, regardless of someone's behavior, whether they were evil or not. It all goes together. Okay, living and dying goes together. So you're going to have people coming through, is my point, and they're going to be condemning you. They're going to be attempting to, strike you with all this so-called knowledge they think they have about, what you should have done versus what you've done. And a lot of them don't have a pot to piss in. Okay, they can barely pay their own bills. Okay, you go into their house, you think you're walking into a wasteland. I come across that all the time, and that's usually from those that are easy and manipulating and deceiving you, that they have the answers, and in most cases they do not. Okay, this can be your relatives, this can be your friends, and this can be a stranger. So pay attention to that as time goes by, because a lot of things are going to be happening. A lot of people are going to be dealing with a lot of tragedy, a lot of catastrophes. As a genuine human being, as I am developing into, okay, that requires kindness and being gentle. Okay, there's no reason to be condemning people for making mistakes and thinking, okay, because they died a few weeks later, that's punishment. No, that's punishment for you. And you need to pay attention to that. Okay, there's nothing evil about dying. That's part of the transition. That's part of the process. And so I know a lot of people cheer, when someone dies because they figure, okay, we're rid of that person. Okay, that again is illogical and it's not correct and it's not true. I'll go into those kind of details about living and dying at another point in the future, because it's really important that we get out of this belief of death being punishment. Okay, death is reality for all of us. And we are giving, and that's why I said about time. Time has ran out for a lot of people. Okay, we've been at this for 10 million plus years. And a lot of people like to sit on the sidelines and project their sense of perfection, and then more so is in their knowledge, which is a bunch of rambling. And at some point, I sense and receive at some point a lot of these so-called knowledge-based know-it-all, in other words, the ones that like to pull knowledge out of their brains and then attempt to project that onto people without no experience at all, not understanding someone's experiences at all. They're the ones that are going to go insane and sadly attempt to harm others and most importantly harm themselves. So just guard yourself from all of this knowledge-based rambling that people are projecting out there that have, like I said, don't have a pot to piss in. It's about being kind and gentle with people. And I do everything in my power to protect that, especially towards women. But it's difficult because we have billions upon billions upon billions of people out there. So I'm going to be rational and reasonable and do what I can to, be a warrior for people, be a protector, defender, and most importantly, a lover by spreading universal love and understanding, yes, there are some terrible people doing some terrible, not, let me back that up. There are human beings doing terrible things. The human being is not terrible. They're just doing terrible things. It's their behavior and actions. And we need to start focusing on that and stop condemning people for their humanity. In other words, the fact that they are human beings that are making a whole lot of mistakes. Okay, but they're going to make more of a transition than the so-called perfect, knowledge-based, human beings out there. The intellectual talking heads, usually, they fall under that category. And they like, look at me, I'm perfect. Look at me, look at all this knowledge just coming out of me. Which is a bunch of rambling, in my opinion, because most people are not even paying attention to. I mean, a lot of people, let's just be really honest, do not have time to read some of the books out there from philosophers from the past, and that's fine. Okay, let's not be so concerned about that, because our educational system has been broken for decades upon decades, probably millennia, where a lot of people were not allowed certain material to learn, certain material to think properly. Okay, that is a collective issue. Okay, it's not an individual. That is a collective issue. A lot of us have sat back and waited and waited and waited and didn't do anything, or witnessed crimes upon women, crimes upon children, just crimes in general, and refused to report it, refused to do something. And now everybody's coming out of the woodwork and jumping on the bandwagon and condemning people and like pointing fingers at them. I told you so, like children. A lot of people are still childlike in their consciousness, like as if they are still on the playground. And usually those type of individuals, human beings, are the ones that were underdeveloped, because chances are nobody paid them any attention. Nobody played with them. So they figured, well, if I can just throw some knowledge on people, and project myself as all knowing because I can quote, that's what a lot of you will be dealing with. And that's unfortunate, however. I'm going to do everything in my power to be kind and gentle while giving you the truth as best I understand it. And I'm going to help you through this. But I'm just going to make something very clear. A lot of this is going to be during your aloneness. Okay, whether you have somebody with you or not, this is inside work. Inside work. Okay, so again, I want to send peace and love to everyone all over the stars and moon and mountains. For me, this is about love, universal love. Nothing more and definitely nothing less. Evolution of the consciousness. Love is spoken here. I'm Michelle Carithers.
Thank you so much for listening to the Evolution of the Consciousness podcast. Please make sure to leave us a review. If you wish to ask a question to Michelle, you can leave her an email at msmichellecarithers@gmail.com.